Just checking in, it's 6:30, so pretty late for me today, New Year's Eve. My biggest swim of my training plan coming up, it's 8,800 yards, which equals 8 kilometers. Coming off quite a long week, sick, did 7.5 hours on the bike. Yesterday was a 4-hour run. So I got to do this. Then I'm taking my daughter to Sesame Place, which I was meant to the other day, but she was sick, so they're better today. And then we're going to a friend's place for dinner for New Year's. I don't think we'll last till midnight. I haven't seen midnight for at least 20 years. Not really a New Year's Eve person. I can't stand fireworks. But just loading up at the moment to get this 8 kilometers down. Here's how I'm feeling for 8 kilometers. Breakfast, a Pop-Tart, espresso coffee, also Kyoku before I go. I always take this before events, so because Ultraman starts with a 10 kilometer swim, and this is an 8 kilometer, it's pretty similar. So I'm just going to test it today, see how I go. Beets, I'll take some of that as well. So that's my nutrition beforehand. During the race, a bottle of Morton, a little bit of goo, and I've got one more bottle with Gatorade that I'm also going to chuck some maltodextrin into as well, just to sip on. I think because I'm going to stop every 1,000 yards for about 30 seconds to sip, so I'm probably not going to go through 2 bottles, but I'd rather have extra that I throw away at the end than run out and wish I had more. So I just finished my swim through 8,000 meters, 8 kilometers. Took me almost exactly 3 hours. Went as planned. I wouldn't say it was easy, but I wouldn't say it was difficult. Definitely can do the 10, no problem. Maybe a little caffeine I need to add, and also some sodium because I started to get a cramp in my shoulder. But otherwise, the pace was really good. Like I'll post the pace to confirm, but I think my final 1,000s were pretty close to my originals. Maybe 2 minutes, absolute max 2 minutes difference. So I'm really happy about that. Now I'm going to take my daughter to the Sesame Place and go for some New Year's food. I think there's a recovery swim tomorrow. It's my first activity of the new year. And my car is still here, good. No one stole it. Okay, we're going to go on that roller coaster there.
Oh, what's going on?
Yes.
No!
Right, so I got to go on by myself.
Yeah. Me and Mommy are going to go on the plane.
This is a package that my wife gets me last few Christmases. It comes with these, you've probably seen them in my basement. This one's for Maine, so here's my finish time for Maine, my swim time. Maine's a notoriously downriver swim, so that doesn't really count. My bike and run time, I think that was one of my best runs, 1:47. Eagleman, 39-minute swim was a little bit disappointing. 2:26 on the bike, I think was about 2 minutes shy of my best record, and 1:52 I was completely blew up on the run because it was just way too hot. But that was a decent Eagleman, but not my best. 70.3 New York. Again, a swim cut short, so that's 16 minutes. I think we only did like a third of this, or I think the swim's 1900, they cut it to 750 or something. 2:30 was a solid bike. It was torrential wind and rain, a massive storm, Hurricane Ophelia. And the 2:32 was, I was actually on track for my best time. I was going to, first 10Ks I did in 45 minutes, and then that's when I busted my ankle and I had to walk the rest of the way. So that's what could have been. I'm going back to New York this year for some redemption. And finally, Penn State, 5:42. This was a really solid, I was really happy with this one as well. 39-minute swim, 2:55 on the bike. There's a really tough bike course, and 1:56 on the run. The run was really hilly as well. So I'm going to go and put these up now. I think I've got to go to the hardware store to get some hooks. I'm going to switch my basement around and I'll show you them when they're put up. So I finished. It was pretty straightforward to switch it over and put it up there. As you can see, my measuring skills are not the best. The right one's not 100% straight. That means I can sit there, ride my bike with that beside me now. You can see Eagleman was my first, then I went to Utah. Florida was my first full Ironman. Eagleman again. So you can see 5:07, Maryland and Chattanooga fulls, and then I only did 70.3 this year. You can see it's a 5:04.56 at Eagleman. Beat my previous best by like 2 minutes only, but I jumped about 23 minutes. So pretty nice collection. And one of my friends, Arvin from the club, he's got these as well, and you can actually get different events. It doesn't have to be just Ironman, so I'll get a few different ones next year for Ultraman. I just received these new Funko Pops from Amazon. You can see they have decent packaging now. They got bubble inside there as well. Comes with its own little sort of special box. I'll have a look. Day off today, so I'm just giving my bike a quick clean and lube the drivetrain. I think it's got one more go round. I think next time I do this, I'm gonna replace the brake pads, take off the cassette, give it a thorough clean, maybe take off the front crank as well and go through all that and give it a good solid clean. My road bike also has to be done. I'm going to do that next, but first I got to get to the dentist. My semi-annual checkup, and then I'm going to bum around and watch that new Zack Snyder movie on Netflix. So just as I'm walking to the dentist, I thought I'd share some views on my taper. Generally, I'd always followed plans on Training Peaks, and they have longer tapers, say 2 weeks for a full and almost 2 weeks, 1.5 for a 70.3. And I've done a few now, I've done 10. I find that my body reacts best to shorter tapers. So I generally don't taper for more than a week for a full. Whereas this one, this time, he has a funny sort of a plan, like I'm about 6 weeks out from the race. And this is my first sort of semi-taper. This is my first day off since September. But like, I didn't train, I had to shuffle some things around. I didn't train on Monday, and then had a short run on Tuesday. So I've done crap all for 3 days now, and tapers I always feel absolute shit the whole time of the taper. So I felt lousy yesterday, like just kind of depressed, I guess, and also lethargic. But I feel I'm coming around this morning. I've got a big 2 days, so tomorrow I've got a 70.3 simulation, so I'll do it on the treadmill on my bike. in a swimming pool, and on Friday I have to run 45 kilometers, so a touch over a marathon, and it's also at a race simulation, so that's why I wore my shoes. I wore my Endorphin Pros, which I didn't really like yesterday. I'm getting a lot of movement in the ankles, so I'm seriously considering just wearing my training shoes for the actual run. It's just not worth it over that distance to risk my ankle rolling and causing more ankle problems that I don't need. So yeah, it's a taper into that. Next week it kind of returns to semi-long, like my long Thursday I think is a 7.5 hour bike ride. Sounds funny, but that's not really that big for me these days. I don't mind it at all. And it's only 30-kilometer run. And then the following week is a huge one, so I think I have 11 hours on the bike, followed by a 45-minute run, and then the next day a 50-kilometer run at race pace. And once I do that, then I get into a serious taper, so everything cuts drastically. In terms of my feeling, like, I really like these longer 25-hour training weeks. I think my body responds better to volume, so I'm going to be taking a few weeks off after the event, but then I'll start training for Lake Placid. I'm going to modify my traditional Ironman training plan, and I'm going to be doing higher volume. I'm going to aim for about 18 to 20 hours training for Placid. So onto my road bike now, just while it's soaking, a quick rundown of how I do this. First, I use this stuff from Muck Off, some sort of degreaser. I put it in this Park Tool Cyclone. You can get different brands of this thing. I don't know why I ended up buying this. I usually buy the cheaper one, but this must have been on sale or something. I had it for a few years. I wax my chain, so I clean the chain of that. It's perfectly fine because the wax is inside, so you're only cleaning the outside of the chain. It's not a perfect clean, but it does the job. Then I use this Muck Off drivetrain cleaner. Just spray it all around these cogs, the derailleur, the back cassette, and around the front as well, and let it soak. The frame, this is the same stuff as in that bigger bottle. It's just a spray bottle. I just spray it all over the foam and all over the frame and let it sit there for a couple of minutes. Then I have this brush. I just scrub all over the frame and wherever I can get with it. And for the drivetrain, I'll use this. It's quite a small brush. You can see it just covers the drivetrain nicely. Then finally, this White Lightning Clean Streak. I will spray it because it's a degreaser. I spray it around the cogs and head just to break down anything that's in there. I don't want it to break down any of the wax on the chain. And then just leave it I'll towel dry it and leave it for about 15 minutes and bring it inside.